Yo, what's up? Welcome inside the opening line, part of the Elite Fantasy Sports Network. Corey and Benny, fantasy exec, my main man, Benny Ricciardi. Thank you, everybody, for subscribing. If you're brand new, make sure that you subscribe so you get this invite right in your inbox when the video was posted. Yesterday, it took a little long. It was posted yesterday, but no link was out. Oh, man, Benny. Like you said, a case of the Mondays.
I had your back, man. It's all good. I knew what was going on. Yesterday was actually a good day for me, Corey. I was happy because you know what? I bet all the overs, and all the overs hit. So it was a good day when that happens.
No doubt. I actually got a chance to lay it down a little bit. I only put in 2 bets last night. I had the over, and I had the Golden State Warriors. I had to parlay the 76 is over and the Warriors money line, which actually came to, like, when I put it together, I was like, well, wait a minute. This is minus like 150? I was like, oh, yeah, sure. Why not? It was a reason why not.
Yeah.
Crazy, Vinny, crazy. I don't know if you ever met my brother-in-law, Noah.
I don't think so.
So, like, Noah is from Oakland, California. You know what I'm saying? Like, born, raised, bred in Oakland, California, right? So he moved, well, obviously, you know what I'm saying. I think he went to New Mexico State for undergrad, whatever. And then he came out here and went to St. John's Law, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then, like, packed up his car, drove straight across the country, and was like, I'm going to St. John's Law School, right? So, all right, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So my sister probably, I don't even think, son, it was still warm outside, you know what I'm saying? When she was like, yo, you got to come out here and meet this guy, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, all right, cool, you know what I mean? You tell me to come meet son, I'm going to come meet son, you know what I'm saying? I remember pull up, I get out to St. John's, I get out the cab, whatever, and son is standing out there with like a Philadelphia Eagle t-shirt on, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, it's a regular dude, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay, we can work with this. This is fine. You can be a part of the family. Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of quick, like the semester just started, right? But I'm like, all right, whatever. You grown lady now. Be cool how you be cool. So we're talking, whatever. He was like, yeah, I like the Eagles, whatever. Donovan McNabb was the quarterback. He was still, this is going back, right? So he was like, but my real team is the Golden State Warriors. So I'm like, oh, okay, you know, run TMC, stuff like that, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah, but he was like, that's my heart and soul, that's my pride and joy. I love the Golden State Warriors, you know what I mean? Being a basketball kid from Oakland, whatever, that's the team that was down the block, whatever. Just love the Golden State Warriors. So obviously hanging out and chilling with Noah for these past couple years, listen, Noah was straight up, if Noah ain't have a wife and family, he would paint his car blue and gold and just travel the country back and forth with the Warriors. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the number 30 on the side for stuff. I got you.
Yeah, exactly.
My kind of people's right here, Corey. I like this guy already.
I've been to Warrior games in Philadelphia, Madison Square Garden, the Barclays Center, Charlotte, Boston. Was this close to going to Cleveland for a finals game. But my sister was like, wait a minute now. You know what I'm saying?
Those tickets ain't cheap. Yeah.
Yo, son, he was legit he was going to drive to Cleveland and he was going to get like standing room only. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And stay at like a Best Western.
Like I say, he's a true fan, man. It's my kind of person. I like this.
So with the playoffs now, every time the playoffs come around, obviously the past couple of years and stuff like that, I was with him the night we've been to a lot of these Warrior games, but we was at and like I tell a story when the Warriors became our Western Conference team, I was the 55 at the Garden when Steph dropped 55 at the Garden. Yeah. And everybody played him on FanDuel that night. It's wild. Like, I was like, yo, I got Steph on FanDuel.
He's like, yeah, that was last night, 70% ownership. It didn't matter what he did. Everybody had him. 70%,
yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I remember we had to Garden that game, whatever. And that they hadn't won a championship yet, but you could tell that the team was starting to come together with Clay and all the pieces, whatever. So my brother-in-law legit, when it gets to this time of year, it's tough because, during the regular season, you might catch a road game where they get an early start or whatever, or, you get a couple nights where, I still stay up till halftime, whatever, because these games come on at 10:30 at night. He got to get up, wash, lotion on faces, asses smacked, you know what I'm saying? Book bags packed, teeth brushed, you know what I'm saying? And out the door, you know what I'm saying? So with the kids and all of that stuff. So texting with him last night, and I was like, yo, you think you're gonna make it? He was like, I'm gonna save it for till we get deeper. He was like, I can't stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 or 3 nights a week. So he was like, what I do is this first round series, not off the Clippers, and we're gonna roll past the Clippers anyway. So I'm gonna use this week as a week to get some rest. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, understandable.
Exactly, not a big deal. He's a lawyer. He represents the Nassau County School Board. He's a lawyer for Nassau County School Board. So He's like, I'm basically off this week anyway. So whatever. I get some rest this week. Easter weekend coming up, the kids and stuff like that. So he told me he was going to sleep last night, and I was like, oh man, I was like, damn, this is crazy. He not gonna be happy when he woke up. So I sent him a text, late last night. I knew he wasn't gonna see it. I woke up to gross. Disgusting.
31 points.
This is shit that happens when I don't stay up.
The NBA is a game of runs, right? We talk about it all the time. One team goes up 10, the other team comes back, then they go up 10, and then the other team comes back. That happens all the time. There's no lead that's safe in the NBA. But 31 points, you figure that's a pretty safe lead. When you're up 31, you're figuring, all right, we'll start thinking about game 3 right now. We're going to start thinking about going to LA and closing this one out, getting some rest while the other series finish up. I was shocked. I was watching that game, and I was like, they just started chipping away. It was 31, and then it was 22, and then all of a sudden it was 15, and you were like, oh, maybe they got a chance. And then it was 8. And the next thing you know, it's a back-and-forth game right there, and the Clippers take the lead with 15 seconds left. And I'm like, how did this even happen right now?
It was so wild because I'm on the computer, and I'm doing stuff. I got a couple of things I meant to ask you something before the show. I had a couple. I ask you it now. Where's Hudson Street?
Hudson Street in Hoboken?
Or is it in Jersey City?
There's Hudson. This is Hudson County, so there's a Hudson Street. It's actually in Weehawken, it's Hudson Avenue. But yeah, every one of these towns has a Hudson.
Okay, cool. I'll figure that part out later. So I'm online doing stuff, and I just keep hearing, okay, all right, it was interesting. Then finally I heard the leaders cut to 12, and that's when I was like, well, what the hell is going on? You know what I mean?
Lou Williams is what went on.
Still, Benny was still not half paying attention. I was on the FanDuel Sportsbook, and I clicked on live. And when I clicked on live, I was like, oh, they got the lead? Mm-hmm. That's when I was like, yo, this is crazy. What the hell happened? A lot to break down and get into from that madness last night. But the first name you said is the name. Man, Lou Williams gets buckets. He gets buckets, Benny. Absolutely gets buckets, yo.
Yeah, honestly, and that's really what it was last night. It's the thing that I like about that Clippers team is they don't give up, right? They don't have any superstars, but they have a whole bunch of guys who just play really, really hard. They have a whole bunch of good players. It's not like anybody on that team sucks.
The biggest asset on the team is Doc Rivers.
Yeah, and he's the one that gets them playing that way. They play defense. Even down 30, that's really what kind of started triggering it for them. They were down 30, and they were playing defense. They were getting up, and they were defending. They were rebounding. They were doing all the little things that they needed to do to get back into that game, and they just didn't give up. How many teams are going to be down 30 in the second half of a game and not give up? Not just be like, screw it, we'll worry about game 3. Let's rest up and move on right there. That was a huge game. The problem that I have with this window, Corey, is that everyone's starting to talk like the Warriors suck.
No.
The Clippers actually have a chance to win this series. Listen, it was a historic comeback. It was awesome. At one point in time, the Warriors in game are minus 10,000. So if somebody dropped money on that to win $5 or $10, this is the time when that screwed you over and and you lost a bunch of money. But in the overall scheme of things, this doesn't change anything for me.
No, it doesn't.
Even with Boogie.
Just go extra game. That's it.
I was going to say, even with the Boogie Cousins thing, which we'll talk about later, I still think the Warriors are going to win this series easily. There's not a single dollar of my money that I would put on the Clippers to do anything here, no matter what odds you gave me. You know what? I shouldn't say that. Like, if you give me $1,000,000 to 1, I'll put $1 on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, why not?
Like, even at like plus 2,000 or plus 3,000, plus 5,000, like, I don't want to touch them. Like, I'm not gonna. This doesn't change anything for me.
No.
In fact, the Warriors were still up 31 points in that game. The Warriors are still the much better team, even without Boogie Cousins in there. Did the Clippers have a historic comeback? Yeah, but in the overall scheme of things, this is still going to be the Warriors series, and this is still the Warriors conference to win or lose.
It's a testament to Doc Rivers. It's a testament to Lou Will. It's a testament to a team that's a team. It's not like no all-stars. They're a team. They're a collection of individuals. They're the name on the front of the jersey, not the name on the back of the jersey. But what's interesting about this is that other locker room, because it's like it never fails. So obviously last night, going through Twitter and stuff like that, the rumors were on Twitter. Apparently there was some real tense moments inside that Golden State Warrior locker room. And of course, you know who the two culprits were. Benny, I don't see Kevin Durant or Draymond Green being on this team next year.
I think one of them could be, but definitely not both of them. But the other thing with me though is this like a news to anybody? I mean, this has been going on all season. This isn't like the first time, there's been some problems with this. This has basically been since day one. And this has basically been what we've been saying since day one too, is that, this is the last year for this quote unquote Warrior dynasty with all these superstars here together. Next year, KD's probably going to go to some other team. I wouldn't doubt if Draymond goes to some other team if somebody wants to pay him too. Steph and Clay are still going to be there. The Warriors are still going to be good. It's not like they're going to suck. But, this is one of those situations where, these guys don't have to like each other. There's a lot of guys that have been teammates that haven't liked each other. But you know what? At the end of the day, you still go out there and you play well together and you win together. You guys don't have to go have a threesome together at the same chick after the game if that's what you want. If that's what you don't want to do, you don't got to go to the club together. But at the same point in time, you're going to go out there and you're going to try to win. Whatever team you got right now, that's the team that you're rocking with until the end of the championship. And you're not going to blow games and you're not going to blow a chance to win a championship just because you and somebody else have personality.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But see, that's the thing about it is obviously if you don't follow Barbers, I think her name is Barbers, Barbers Green, Draymond Green's mother on Twitter. She's a fantastic follow on Twitter. Die hard for her son, die hard Golden State Warrior basketball. And she was going off last night. And she was like retweeting negative tweets about Kevin Durant. And she was like more or less like, when is he going to step up? You know what I mean? And it's like, it's so much drama out there. It's always been a lot of drama in that locker room. It's just starting to come out more now. But listen, my thing is this is what good teams with big personalities go through. But the bottom line, Benny, is that they are going to win a championship. When it comes to the Warriors, the narrative is always the Warriors versus the refs, and then Clay and Draymond and the drama, and the turning the basketball over. Not playing consistent at times. And the other thing about the Golden State Warriors, and you saw it last night, whenever they lose, it's always one of these couple things. Steph Curry is the biggest liability on defense, maybe in NBA history. He can't guard nobody. And so much of what happened last night was the Warriors trying to find a way to get Steph Curry as far away from Lou Williams as they possibly could and then mess their rotations up.
Yeah, and this is also kind of what the NBA has come to right now. It all comes down to matchups. Just think about the Houston Rockets' entire offense. The Houston Rockets' entire offense is running Chris Paul and James Harden off of screens until they get the matchup that they want, and then having them go one-on-one to exploit that matchup. And with a guy like Steph Curry on the floor for the Warriors, that's what teams are trying to do because, Klay Thompson is a good defender. Kevin Durant is a good defender. Even when they bring in Andre Iguodala there on the perimeter, he's a good defender. Draymond Green is a good defender. So all those guys are able to kind of switch off and rotate off on guys that play, basically the 2, 3, and 4, even sometimes on the point guard pretty easily. So what teams are trying to do is basically attack your weakness, which is smart. That's, it's smart coaching. You want to attack the other team's weakness. If a team doesn't have big guys, you dump the ball down low, which is exactly what the Philadelphia 76ers did to win that first game against the Nets last night. if a team has a point guard who is weak on defense that you can take to the hole, like the Warriors do with Steph Curry, you're going to keep running screens on the perimeter, and you're going to try to get your best ball handlers matched up one-on-one against Steph Curry. I mean, this is what the NBA is all about. Like, as good as the Warriors are, as great as the Warriors are, they're not a team that doesn't have any flaws. There is no perfect team out there.
No.
There's a game plan to beat everybody, and the game plan to beat them, like you said, is to attack Steph Curry. That's really what you want to do, and the Clippers did a very good job of it late in that game last night.
And he's a player, Benny, that you can't hide him because you can't really take him out the game because he means so much to your team offensively. And it's like, the other night when I was watching the Trailblazers, they were talking about that in the game. And they were talking about how Steph Curry is an excellent defender. And Steph Curry, not so much. Obviously, I'm quite sure Steph will trade his defensive prowess for the ability to stroke the three. Well, Steph can stroke it too, but, the skill set, kid battling to be in the NBA. But obviously the other big story to come out that game last night, man, I hate to see what happened to Boogie Cousins. It does look like a ruptured quad, which will effectively end his season and put him on the shelf until about September.
See, here's my biggest thing. And, again, I've gotten a little better. I saw you talking to inside injuries last night, on Twitter. And I've gotten a little better at kind of figuring out some of the injuries that matter and some of the ones that don't. One of the things that I've always noticed, Corey, is anytime an injury occurs where there's no contact, it's always going to be pretty bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's always pretty bad when something like that happens. Because if you get a contact injury, it could just be like a deep bruise. You need a couple days off. You're going to be back at the end of the series.
When you just fall, something happened.
Yeah, exactly. In any sport. We see it in football with guys running routes and they just drop. And yesterday, I mean, that was, for all intents and purposes, that was a breakaway for Boogie. Yeah. Like, he was ahead of the pack, had a breakaway layup, and just went down. And as soon as he did, I was sitting here with a couple of my buddies, and I was basically like, oh, man, that's serious. That's not like, oh, he'll be back in the second half or he'll be back next game. Like, I don't know what he did. I saw him holding his thigh. I was like, but you know what? That's going to be him being out for a while. Now, yes, it sucks, but it kind of evens the playing field now, right? I mean, we were saying beforehand that it was almost not fair to add Boogie to basically a championship team already. This is still the same core of the same team that has won a couple championships over the last few years. You still got all those guys together, and an even better team too, because they have Kevin Durant now, who was there for the last championship, but hasn't been there for the whole run. So, does it hurt the Warriors? Yes. Do I still think the Warriors are the favorite? I don't really think it changes much.
No, I don't think it changes much either. Listen, that's a Houston team that took this team down, that played this team to the nail last year. The thing about what I do find interesting with this Boogie injury is I think the odds will change. I'm about to check it out right now a little bit. Oh, you got some soccer to bet on this day, Benny, if you want to.
I know.
Obviously, the series price, there's basically no movement on the series price. It's like minus 3,500. But what I find interesting, to win the championship did go down to minus 210 from minus 250. To win the championship, it went down to minus 210. The Milwaukee Bucks are next at plus 600. How do you think the Warriors match up against the Bucks?
I think that's going to be a really good one because both teams can put up a lot of points. The difference to me between the Warriors and the Bucks, and you saw it last night, Milwaukee plays defense.
Yeah.
The Warriors really don't play defense. Like, again, I mean, you could say, oh, yeah, well, it was one bad game and blah, blah, blah. And I agree. I don't want to overreact to the fact that they lost last night, but it does highlight the difference between the two teams. Milwaukee's not giving up 130 points. No. I don't think Milwaukee's giving up 130 points, even if they're playing the Warriors, a team that is capable of scoring it like that. I could see Milwaukee putting up 130 points against Golden State. I mean, again, I've been a Milwaukee stan since the beginning of the year. Like I said, this is the team that I've been the highest on in the league this year. So for me, I think they can play with anybody. Do I still think that Golden State deserves to be favored against them? Yeah, probably. But anybody who doesn't think that Milwaukee can play with Golden State, I think that's a little crazy. I think Milwaukee is a very good team on both ends of the floor.
I just worry about Milwaukee getting past Boston because I think that's where it's going to get tough for Milwaukee. You know, I think everybody else, they probably got a pretty good handle on. I think Boston may be able to be like to play that style of game with them and grind them down a little bit and then get them on the road and see what they can do. Obviously, Boston and Toronto are the two teams that have champions on their team. That's not the case for the Milwaukee Bucks. As far as the Boogie thing goes, MRI results have come out today, whatever, but more or less we already know what this injury is and stuff like that. Tough injury. One of the things about the injury is all the signs point to it. The swollen thigh is like that's where the tendon ruptured and rolled up. That's why it protruded like that. And this is an injury that normally happens to a player returning from a torn Achilles tendon.
Well, they say that all the time. When you're coming back from one injury, you know, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, you favor, you know, the part of the body that was hurt, and you wind up hurting something else because you're compensating for not putting too much pressure on it or not cutting off of it or something. And then, you know, that puts pressure on a different part of your body, and that's what winds up happening. So, you know, this is tough. I mean, the biggest thing right now with DeMarcus Cousins is, you know, big guys break down faster than the guards do, right?
Yep.
And, you know, he's not old, but he's not young anymore either. You know, this isn't like a 22, 23-year-old Boogie Cousins anymore. You know, it's going to take him a while to bounce back. I don't know if we're ever going to see him be the guy that can play 35, 40 minutes again. And one of the things that and Anthony Davis this year, a lot of people didn't like the fact that Anthony Davis kind of like bowed out on his team in the middle of the season. But this has always been a problem with the New Orleans Pelicans, right? Is when they have some of these players, they play these guys, they run these guys into the ground with Gentry. I mean, he'll play him 40 minutes a game. He did it with Boogie last year. He did it with Drew Holiday. Look what happened to Holiday towards the end of the season. You know, Anthony Davis is no idiot for saying, I'm done with this. I don't want to deal with this stuff. You can play 40 minutes a night every once in a while. You can't consistently give guys 35, 40 minutes over an 80-game season and expect them to hold up and last long-term, especially when you're talking about a big body like Boogie. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's almost 7 feet tall, almost 300 pounds.
Yeah.
It's a lot to move a guy like that at that speed up and down the floor. You know what I mean?
No doubt. You're 100% correct, Brady. That's a big dude. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happens. I just feel bad for Son because he's never going to get that massive payday. He's never going to get that, you know what I'm saying, that max contract, that big-time number one salary money. It's never going to happen for him. At least I don't think so right now, because even with what's about to go on in Golden State now, you figure he's on a 1-1 right now. He's on a 1-year deal right now. Obviously, they're going to offer him a 1-1. Durant will leave. Mm-hmm. They'll give Clay the max. Durant will leave. I think they trade Draymond in the offseason, and I think they give Boogie another 1-1. And then they see what Boogie becomes to see if he wants to, if they eventually sign him to a long-term deal. But knock on wood, I hate to say this injury may have actually worked out for the Warriors financially, because now Boogie as a free agent is not as attractive. So now you're like, okay, well, we may lose KD. We got to re-sign Clay, but we can bring Boogie back on the cheap again. Kind of like how they got Steph on the cheap when his first contract was up, because he was dealing with those ankle injuries. So it just happens to fall into place for them. You know what I mean? Except the general manager is talking to Jeannie Buss.
Yeah, I mean, no, actually, he already said he's not going. He said he's not going.
Interested. Okay.
Yeah. Basically, honestly, the Lakers used to be the dream job, and everybody's turning it down. But we got to have a whole nother discussion about that. Let's stay on the Boogie thing for a second here. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, and it's, you know, it's one of those things where this is now a guy coming off of, you know, pretty serious, like, season-ending injuries in back-to-back seasons. He missed the beginning of this season with an injury and then ended his season again with another injury. So there's questions about him staying healthy. Again, if he would have went out and averaged 25 and 10 in this playoffs and wound up winning a championship, you're right. He was walking into a max deal somewhere, $100 million, 5-6 years, something like that.
Yep.
I think he is going to have to go on to a prove-it-to-me contract again. And it kind of sucks for him, but you know what? I mean, if you can get him on the cheap, I still think it's a good idea because, again, when he's playing, he's a dominant player out there on the floor. But, you know, I don't know. This is a tough situation. Like, as a GM, this is one of those things that could wind up putting you in the Hall of Fame and could also wind up having you fired by the end of next season.
This is what do you mean to the room deal? And I think a lot of what happened last night was because the players are probably thinking, damn, you know, they watched Boogie struggle to get back just to get to this point, and then 2 games in lose them. And as a group in that locker room, I think they probably in that second half probably felt some kind of way because I'm sure when they went back for halftime, they probably got the news that we're not going to be without Boogie. Steve Kerr said in the press conference last night, it's going to be. It looks pretty significant, and we won't expect to have him for a while. Probably be in 5 months. We'll probably get that news today. So I think that could have played on their psyche a little bit too, as they were blowing that lead in the second half. I don't think they were all there.
Now, here's one other thing I want to add, because we talked about this the other day with the Golden State Warriors too. One of the problems that I have with the Warriors is the fact that their bench sucks. And I don't care what anybody says. Their bench sucks. If you watch a Warriors game, what happens?
Kevon Looney not getting it done.
Well, you know what? He was all right yesterday. He actually was the one guy that I'm not going to – he had his career high.
He won't be all right next week sometime, though.
Yeah. But here's the problem that I have with the Warriors. If you watch the Warriors games, there's a certain flow to every single Warriors game, right? The starters come out at the beginning of the game, usually build up a lead. And then at the end of the first quarter, none of the starters are in. They have the Quinn Cooks of the world and the Jerebkos of the world, the Alfonso McKinneys. Those guys are in the game. And whatever lead they have evaporates, and it either becomes a tie game or they go down. And then the starters come back in, and they end every quarter very well. They did it last night, the end of the second quarter. They ended on like a 12-0 run or something like that. And then the starters come out at the beginning of the third quarter, and they go on another run. And then the second unit comes in, and they start giving up the lead again. Now, normally when they do it, the starters come back in, and the starters just push ahead and have one of those, 12-point and 2-minute kind of outburst and go on a 12-4 run, and it goes from being a 4-point game to a 12-point game again real quick. That didn't happen yesterday, but that's usually the way that the Warriors games goes. If the Warriors had even a decent bench, you don't have to be a bench that, winds up pushing a lead like the Toronto bench used to do. But if you could just not lose the lead, you know what I mean? Just play a plus-minus around 0 or even around 1 or 2 instead of -5, -10. They're going to win all these games easy. Their second unit is so bad that the first unit has to, overcompensate. To make up for how bad the second unit is.
And the thing about it was interesting watching this team a lot is it's almost the opponent. Last night was a perfect example, but except it went the other way. A lot of times with these Warrior games, the opponent doesn't really seem like the opponent is out the game. And that's because of the second unit. But the way the rotations go, it's like, okay, you feel like they're hanging around. They're not hanging around. They're down 17. But it feels like they're hanging around because of the ebb and flow of the game. Steve Kerr's rotations are being questioned today, but you can't really question Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr is a he's a 3-time championship-winning coach. Not even to mention what he's done in the past, with his playing career. So I'm not that guy who's going to question Steve Kerr's rotations.
No, I'm not either. And the reason for it is, you don't have the talent. If you had a bunch of players and he was misusing them, that's fine. But what's your beef with his rotations last night? The fact that he played guys like Quinn Cook and Alfonso McKinney and Jonas Jerebko. Well, what the hell is he supposed to do? Is he supposed to just leave the starters in for 48 minutes? If those are your two options, you look at the box score for their games, the starters are playing 30-something minutes each. Yep. These other guys are playing 10 to 15 minutes each. So he's trying to, stagger it so you don't have all 5 starters in and then all 5 scrubs in and then all 5 starters in. So he takes Clay out here and then he takes Draymond out here, and he always makes sure he has either KD or Steph on the floor. You always want to have one of those scorers on the floor. So he's doing the best he can with what he has. But like I said, as good as they are, well, now that Boogie's gone, as good as they are 1 through 4 with those top 4 guys, their 5 through 12 might be one of the worst in the league.
Interesting to see how it plays out. Bringing Andrew Bogut back from overseas could end up being a saving grace for this team moving down the stretch. Hey, Benny, are you familiar with this website or app called Prop Swap?
I saw something about it the other day. I haven't used it yet or really tried it, but I did see something about it the other day.
It's pretty interesting. You can buy and sell your gambling tickets, whatever.
Yep.
So you can buy.
When it was during the NCAA tournament, when the guy had the Texas Tech ticket, that was when it became mainstream. A lot more people started hearing about it.
So I was on it over the weekend playing around with it, looking to see what was. You can buy, say you're a New Yorker and you can't make it out to FanDuel or whatever, or can't get nobody to log in and put a bet for you. Mm-hmm. It's legal in New York to do this. You can log on in New York. They got parlays up there that you can buy too. You know what I'm saying? You can straight pick somebody's $25 ticket, $50 ticket right off of this website. Like if you have like, Warriors -7, Kings +13, you can go on there and buy these parlays. It's legit on a nightly basis.
So why are we not doing this?
I know something, Benny. It's wild because you can legit sell these shit.
Dude, I live 5 minutes from the Meadowlands. Like, legitimately, it's right. I buy cigarettes across the street from it at the gas station. Like, I can go there right now and make a bunch of these. We can throw them on. Yo, we got.
No, you can.
When are we done with this show? We got a little business we got to be starting up when we're at it.
I'm gonna be doing this because what I've noticed is, especially like right now, most of the props it was a lot for the Masters. Right now, most of them are Brooklyn Net futures. You know what I'm saying? I'm not buying the Brooklyn Nets to win the Eastern Conference. I'm just not. To me, that's like, I can find something better. The only one that I found interesting, the dude was selling this for like $15, was a Terry Stotts to win Coach of the Year.
What are the odds on it?
I think the $15 ticket might have paid out like $195.
So you're talking 10, 12, 13, basically 13-1 odds on it?
Something like that.
It's not horrible.
No, but I'm like, everything else was like extreme. You know what I'm saying? To win the trophy, stuff like that. See, my thing is, what I would do, but I think the way to get money off this is football season. Go in there, buy futures on the popular teams. The Dallas Cowboys,
right?
The Pittsburgh Steelers. You know what I'm saying? Because those teams, see, the Cleveland Browns, everybody's going to have a Cleveland Brown ticket. You know what I'm saying?
True.
But those popular teams.
And it's not going to pay anything.
Exactly. It's not going to pay anything. Those popular teams, like the Cowboys and the Steelers, those teams, those big, rabid fan bases, the Green Bay Packers, those are the fan bases that will say, you know what? Let me buy this ticket off you. You know what I mean? And they'll buy it early in the football year too. You come out 5-1, 6-0, something like that. Those fan bases start thinking. You got to check it out, Benny. It's pretty cool, but you just got to find the right prop bet.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into this when I have a little bit of time, and we got to find the angle. There's got to be an angle we can make some money here on it. So we'll have to find that angle.
So it's like you can. I was looking at a tutorial. You can even place the bet online and still sell it. Like they don't need the physical ticket. So I haven't done enough research to see exactly how it works. But yeah, you can go up there and like I said, you can sell your tickets. Like I can put in a 3-team parlay tonight for $50, and I can sell that joint for. So if somebody want to buy it for $100, it's yours. It's pretty interesting.
I mean, this is the thing that's going to start happening until all 50 states legalize gambling and legalize sports betting. Like, again, we take it for granted because we live close enough where we can just go to the Meadowlands and make a bet or just – I mean, hell, like I said, I can make a bet right now while you're talking on my phone and not even have to leave this couch. So we kind of take it for granted. But if you live in some of these states that aren't allowed to gamble, where you're not allowed to sports bet, this is a kind of a way around that. So people would be willing to actually pay a little bit of a premium for tickets that we can go buy at, quote-unquote face value. Like I said, there's an angle to make some money here. Somebody who's
look at the states where this is legal and compare it to the states where it's not legal, and look at the teams. Like if it's not legal in Alabama, you know what I'm saying? Then
I was just gonna say, like University of Alabama football, like you're not gonna get any money on a Jets or a Giants ticket or a Yankees ticket or something, because you can buy it. All the people who live in this area
do it yourself.
Buy their ticket themselves, right? But like you said, in Alabama football, you're gonna have people down there. The one guy in Alabama who actually makes above the average salary of the people in this country, he's going to want a piece of his roll tide and get a little bit of money on them to win the national championship. So we can actually make those bets, and they're willing to pay us a premium for it. Like I said, somebody smart out there. I don't have the time to do this. I already have 3 kids and a company. But somebody who has the time to do this, some enterprising college kid out there, we're giving you an idea here where you can put some money in your pocket.
I'm talking about go to the FanDuel Sportsbook, let me get $50 on Tennessee to win the SEC. It's going to pay out like $25,000, and it's not going to happen. But you know what? It could be some dude in Tennessee like, you know what? I want a piece of that action.
Peyton Manning is going to want to call you up and get that ticket. So, you can't bet in Indianapolis. So there you go.
Shout out to Peyton Manning. I just saw what he just signed. I think he's going to be doing what Kobe does for football, though. The detail joint on ESPN Plus.
Oh, wow, really? That'll be pretty cool. See, that's actually where I want to see him, because he's a guy who is he looks at the game if you're a quarterback, like, I mean, we saw this when Tony Romo went in the booth, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're a quarterback, you just see the game differently than everybody else. You see what the defenses do because that's your job. That's what you – especially if you were a recent quarterback. That's what you were doing. And Peyton being one of those guys who basically called his own plays, got up to the line, looked at see what was going on, and then, put the pieces where they needed to be for him to run the best play. Him doing a chalk talk thing like that is going to be amazing. You're going to learn more about football watching one of those episodes of the Peyton Manning chalk talk thing than you probably learned in your entire life of watching, stupid announcers on television.
There you go right there. What else we got? Philadelphia last night. That looked like a trap game, and it certainly was a trap game if you were on the Brooklyn Nets side. Philadelphia was easy. First half was like, wow, the Nets still in it, the Nets still fighting. But I don't know what Brett Brown did in that locker room, but they came out in that second half, and Philadelphia got to playing like the Philadelphia 76ers, a little bit more intensity on the defensive end. The shots were dropping. The Nets got cold. Like you mentioned yesterday, Benny, the Nets got cold. And when the Nets got cold, Philadelphia was able to run them out the building.
And that's the thing. I mean, we talked about it a lot during college basketball, and it's the same thing with the way the Nets play with their style. When you live by the three, you die by the three, right? When you're hitting them and they're all going in, you look like you can play with anybody in the country. When you're not hitting them, though, those are games that you lose by 20, 30 points. If I'm a Nets fan right now, though, or even as a guy who has a Nets futures ticket on this series, I'm not upset right now.
No, you got to feel good.
Yeah, your goal was to go into Philadelphia and win one of those two games.
You did that. Yep.
So you did what you wanted to do. Now your goal is to win game 3. Because if you can win game 3, now you're up 2-1 again. And again, as somebody holding the Nets ticket, that's when I'm going to start looking to hedge it off to see what kind of odds I can get on the other side on, the 76ers. Because really there are the games that turn a series are game 3, game 5, because that's where it goes from being 1-1 or 2-2.
That's when somebody can grab the lead.
Yeah, and when you grab the lead, that's what, especially as a sports bettor, that's when the odds really change. When somebody goes up, 2-1 or somebody goes up 3-2, that's when you're going to get a much better line on them. I don't know if they could win 2 of the next 3 games to go up 3-2. So for me, if they win game 3, that's what I'm going to be looking to see what number I can get on the Sixers to win the series, because that's probably going to be the best number you see if Brooklyn goes up 2-1. Because I still think the Sixers are going to win this series. But right now, I'm just trying to look at the best number I can get on the other side to kind of hedge off of it.
I agree with you 100% on that one. I think you're absolutely correct. I think it's going to be a wild scene Thursday night in Brooklyn. I think this is the game that the Brooklyn Net fans have been waiting for. Playoff game, middle of the week on their home court against the hated Philadelphia 76ers. So I think that's going to be a good one, a goodie right there. I'm looking forward to that game. I think the Brooklyn Nets, we'll see what the line and the stuff look like. So listen, Brooklyn, like you said, Benny, they did what they had to do. They come back home. They'll get one of these 2 games, and then that game 5 will be the also critical game in this series. If Brooklyn can go out there, if Brooklyn can win game 3 and game 5, they'll put the nail on them. They'll finish them off in game 6.
Well, that's why I think it'll be good, because especially, I mean, if they win if they go up 3-2, right, and they go back to Philadelphia for the last 2 games, as somebody holding Brooklyn +3 and I forget what I got, +360 something. I don't think it was 3. I think I got 365 when I put it in. But around there, you know what I'm saying? Like, as somebody who's holding a ticket at +365, that's really when you're going to be able to get the best number on the 76ers. So if I get the 76ers at even money at that point in time, that's when I'll be able to hedge it off, guarantee myself a profit one way or the other. And if I still feel strongly about the Nets going and winning that 4th game, I'll bet like maybe $100. Just bet my bet.
You can bet.
Yeah, all right. That's what I'm saying. I can just bet the game straight up. I bet $100 on the Sixers because they'll probably be favored in that or something like that, and you get a little bit of extra money back. So again, to go back to what we talked about at the beginning with these series bets, this is why you make these series bets so that later on down the line you have a chance to hedge it off and guarantee yourself a profit one way or another.
What I find also interesting, so that was basically the main story of the game. I'm the type of person, I go out to the store, I'll get my beers prior to the game. You know what I'm saying? I'll get my food, I'll get my beers, I'll eat and drink a couple beers at, the first half. Then halftime, I'm going back to the store. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get my beers for the rest of the night, and I'm good to go. What I forgot about the NBA playoffs is you cannot leave at halftime because the best show on television comes on, and that's that little 15 minutes that inside the NBA is on TNT. And yesterday, obviously, the whole thing was the Joel Embiid and the elbow situation.
Yep.
It was amazing. When Shaq got up, was like, let me show you, Chuck. Let me show you, Chuck. And Chuck went to get up, and Shaq goes, I'm not going to hit you. And Chuck goes, I know damn well right you ain't.
We were talking about this on Twitter last night. I said we were going to talk about it here today. I got to be honest. I kind of agree with Shaq in that situation.
Really?
Like anybody who thinks it's not, it's definitely a flagrant one. Like, if you don't at least think that that's a flagrant one, then you don't understand the rule. Yeah. Like, you don't understand the difference between the two, right? So the question really comes down to is whether it's a flagrant one or a flagrant two. A flagrant two, you get thrown out of the game. You may even wind up getting a suspension. A flagrant one, you get a technical foul, all that stuff. Yeah. Like, it's still bad, but it's not, you don't get tossed from the game. You don't get the suspension. So here's kind of the red line, the way that the rule is, and this is why I think it's okay. It was still like a basketball play, right? Like, it was still in the action of the game. Like, he spun. He's a big guy. He locked the ball in his chin, which is like Shaq was talking about. That's the way you're taught as a big guy. When I taught my big guys how to, drop step and make moves to the basket, you taught them to play strong, to make themselves wide, and to create that space so that they can go up and make the layup. So the only question you really have to have, and this is really where the gray area is on whether it was a flagrant one or a flagrant two. So when Embiid did the spin, you kind of saw him look over his shoulder, and that elbow went directly up into Allen's face. Now, he could have just as easily dropped that elbow a little bit and put it into Allen's shoulder and kind of used his elbow and his arm and his size and his strength to kind of clear that same space. But it did kind of look like he was looking for a target with that elbow. You know what I mean? So that's the only thing you could say. To me, I don't know. I grew up in the 80s, and I watched Bill Laimbeer. Like, every single foul, and if Bill Laimbeer played today, every single Bill Laimbeer foul on Michael Jordan in the playoffs would have been a flagrant two. Yeah. Back then, they were just called common fouls. Those were just 2 shots of the ball. That's all you got back then. But, I mean, every single one of those was a flagrant two. So, for me, like, a flagrant two, like, if he would have came down the middle, held the ball in this arm, and just, like, swung the other arm free by itself, like Shaq was saying, and, like, targeted the guy's face trying to knock him out, or if he was, like, threw a punch to kind of clear space and then went up for a layup, something like that is intentional. Like, you meant to do that. You weren't making a basketball move and just happened to, clock the guy in the face and get a foul. You were literally looking to hurt somebody. Now, I can't say that Embiid was looking to hurt somebody. 100% it's a flagrant one. I'm not there's no arguing that. But I don't know if the intent was there to hurt somebody, which is kind of the reason why the flagrant two was in there, when you're fouling somebody on purpose almost.
I don't think Joel Embiid is the type of cat that would go to look out to purposely hurt somebody. You know what I'm saying? That Joel Embiid is an easy-go-lucky guy. But and it was a very good interaction on the set. And what I like what Shaq and Kenny both said was that both hands were on the ball. So that proves that it was a basketball move.
Yes.
The reason why I say it was a flagrant two, because I think it was some frustration there. Because if you remember, the trip down on the other end was the dunk.
Yep.
Where Embiid did get all ball, but the referee did call the foul. They said the body contact, and they called the foul. And I think Embiid was upset because of that play. And that's why I said it looked not intentional, but it looked like he was being very aggressive. I would have gave him a flagrant two, but he doesn't get the flagrant two. He stays in the game. And the 76ers, they go on and roll. But that was about the really only interesting thing took place in that situation, because 76ers got out in that second half, and they went overhead and they smacked them. They smoked them pretty good. What I will say, though, it was cool to see Dikembe Mutombo and Allen Iverson at the game.
Yeah, I love Dikembe, man. Dikembe's the dude. So here's my thing with this game, too, and we kind of talked about it the other day. The last game that they played, the Nets kind of sloughed off and played in the lane. And Philly was unwilling to shoot jump shots. They didn't know what to do. Basically the Nets tried to make them play a half-court game, and Philly didn't know how to do that without Embiid in there to be the guy who they were kind of dumping it to. They made a bunch of good adjustments. So that's coaching, and I'm going to give the coaching credit here for making the adjustments. One thing that they did was they took advantage of what their advantage in the series is. Their advantage in the series is their size inside against the Nets.
Yep.
The Nets front court is really thin.
And you had foul trouble last night, too.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, though. I mean, you're already thin, and if you're attacking those guys, you're going to get them in foul trouble, and it's going to be even worse. I mean, Ed Davis, after having 12 and 16 double-double, played almost 25 minutes, played very well in the first game, literally got in foul trouble in the second quarter in like 3 minutes. It was like 5 possessions in a row, and 3 of them he wound up with fouls on. And then he's back sitting on the bench, and you're going with guys like, I mean, Rondé Hollis-Jefferson, who literally was a DNP for like the last month of the season.
He
played like 20 minutes too. He played a lot of time last night because that's how thin they are in the front court. He was playing center when he was out there on the floor for them. Rondé Hollis-Jefferson is not a center.
Not being stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, he's like a small forward, power forward at best. So, that's the advantage that the 76ers had. They used it yesterday. They need to keep going to that. That's how they're going to win.
When the 76ers are playing their game, they are a better team than the Brooklyn Nets. Where Brooklyn advantage comes in that is when Brooklyn gets hot from behind the three-point line. That's when Brooklyn becomes a very dangerous and scary team. But I still think we got a good 6-7 game series here. So shout out to the 76ers. Ben Simmons finally coming through and getting some love in the playoffs. But don't worry, Ben Simmons. I'm going to have my eye on you this whole playoff run because – I don't know. I like to make fun of Ben Simmons. Other than that, so that was. We get back to some NBA in a minute. Russell Wilson got his contract, didn't he?
Yeah, it was funny too because I mean, again, I live in the New York area. The Meadowlands is really close, or MetLife Stadium, whatever the hell they call it now. So I live by. I
call it Jet Life Stadium to get them Giants fans.
I was gonna say I love busted Giants fans balls, but again, this is the point of what I was saying is I grew up with a lot of Giants fans, right? So a lot of my friends in this area, Giants fans, a lot of people I know, a lot of people I see on a pretty daily basis. So my son had baseball practice yesterday, and a lot of the dads over there were like, "Oh, today's the day, Russell Wilson deadline. He's getting traded to the Giants today," and I kept saying to these guys like, you're already paying $25 million to Eli Manning. Mm-hmm. You're not going to bring in another $20 million quarterback. That's just stupid. And anybody who thinks that the Seattle Seahawks were going to accept Eli Manning and some draft picks for Russell Wilson, you're crazy. Like, that just was not going to happen.
Then the Giants fans need to understand your organization is the only people that still think Eli Manning can play.
Yeah, you're the only ones who would have been dumb enough to accept a trade like that, and you don't have Russell Wilson. You have the quarterback you're trying to get rid of. So I never thought that the whole Giants thing was going to happen to begin with. The thing is, though, whoever his agent is, no matter what sport it is, you always use the New York teams as leverage.
Yep.
Always. And that's what's happening. Now, the difference in some sports is, like in baseball, guys actually do sign with the Yankees for big contracts. Well, but in basketball and in football, guys are not going and signing big free agent contracts with the Jets and the Giants, and they certainly aren't going and signing them with the Knicks right now. Brooklyn, I think, could be that team that could wind up getting a big free agent.
This is right here. Is why I have beef. This is why I get so much hate from Nets fans. It's never going to happen. Never. And that might be the jersey in you, Ben.
No, I'm gonna be honest. If I'm a superstar in the NBA right now, right? Yeah. You have the Knicks. Name the guys you want to play with on the Knicks.
Right now, the way the Knicks is set up, nobody.
not a single guy. You watch this series with the Nets.
You want to play with D. Russell.
Legit players. There are legit players on this team. Karis LeVert is a very good, underrated player. Spencer Dinwiddie is incredibly underrated. D'Angelo Russell is a lot better than people give him credit for. There are some legit pieces on the Nets that you can build around or that you could win a championship with. There is nobody on the Knicks
See, here's the thing with the Nets. This is why I be rooting, and I never in my life do I want to root for a team from the city of Philadelphia. But this is why I'm rooting like hell for the 76ers, because this Nets thing, I just look at the math. People that talk about the Nets are this, the Nets are that, the Nets are close. Gabe was tweeting about it the other day. I think Shaq or Barkley, one of them cats was talking about it last night, whatever, or a couple of weeks ago, somebody was talking about it. This is still, Brooklyn is, if Brooklyn was a city, Brooklyn would be the 8th largest city in the United States.
Yes.
That team is dead last in attendance. They're dead last in attendance. Nobody cares about the Brooklyn Nets. They really don't.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. Fans don't care about the Brooklyn Nets. But again, if you're going to come to
New York,
you can come to a big city where you have all the other opportunities that come along with playing in the biggest city in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do it with a team that actually has some talent. Like,
I can get that part.
Spencer Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert, even guys like Joe Harris is a solid player who can be a part of a major team. Rodion Kurix is a 20-year-old kid from Europe who can actually play. I mean, is he ready to step in and be a star right now? No, but there is talent with a lot of these guys. The other thing, too, is not only do they have money to sign free agents, because really you look at this team, this is a whole team of young guys. I mean, Jared Allen, 20-year-old kid. Like, these guys are all on, like, their rookie or second-year deals, right? The other thing is with them, not only do you have money to go sign people, but you could package 2 or 3 of these young kids together to go get another piece that you need, too. So they have in-house already the pieces that they need to kind of make a run at free agents and trade guys.
D'Angelo Russell is definitely going to re-sign, 100%. D'Angelo Russell loves Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be interesting to see if he can entice other people to join him in Brooklyn. Charles Barkley said it last night. This is going to be the biggest NBA summer ever. And I do agree with that. And I think Brooklyn could be a major player. But this is it. If you don't get it done this year, Brooklyn, with these free agents and all of this stuff and taking over the town like everybody seems to think they can, it's never going to happen. What I will say to you, Benny, is I've had this conversation with so many people over the past couple of years. But the truth of the matter is this. When big-time free agents come to New York to win a championship, they go to the Yankees. That's
100%. 100%. Yeah, 100%. You're not coming here. The only other reason you come to New York is for money. Le'Veon Bell. Why did Le'Veon Bell sign with the Jets? It's not because the Jets are – again, I'm the diehardest Jet fan there is. It's not because the Jets are going to compete for a championship this year. He came here for the money. When guys go to play for the Knicks, when Amari Stoudemire went to play for the Knicks, why did he go play for the Knicks? Because they didn't want him to go and get his back checked out. They were willing to
they're like, just come.
And they gave him $100 million.
Yep.
And that was why he came here. The only sport that guys come where they're willing to take a discount to win a championship is with the one that everybody complains overspends for guys in the Yankees.
Yep.
The Yankees get those guys like a Troy Tulowitzki, who's the other guy they picked up? Like a PJ LeMahieu. They get those guys that are better than average, but probably like further on in their career that are coming over here because they want to win championships and willing to give you a discount. The Knicks and the Nets, if they're going to go sign them, and both of them, not one or the other, if either one of those teams are signing any big free agents this offseason, they're not getting any New York discounts. They're going to be paying top dollar for all those guys, especially because all those guys need top dollar to justify coming to New York with the high tax rate and everything else that they're going to be subject to.
And you know who I can see as a Brooklyn Net, and we talked about him a little bit earlier this morning? I think Draymond Green would be – Draymond Green seems like the type of cat that would go play for the Brooklyn Nets.
I don't think that's a bad thing, and I think that would be something that helps him out. What I would really think, the guy who they would really want and who actually would wind up in a Nets uniform is Kyrie Irving. Kyrie grew up as a Nets fan.
He's from Jersey. That's right. Kyrie is from Jersey. I find that to be interesting. Listen, I think the first piece is what happens in a month from now at the NBA draft lottery.
If Zion goes to the Knicks, that's going to be a big recruiting tool for people.
And that's the first piece of the puzzle right there. If you drop Zion, if you get the first pick and you drop Zion, then it's like, okay, this thing could all come together. Yeah. But if you get that second pick, now you're starting to think, okay, well, can we just develop Ja? Mm-hmm. Kevin Durant loves Ja, you know what I'm saying? We can add a couple other pieces. So I think the first piece to the offseason puzzle starts with Zion Williamson, and then you figure then the rest start to come together. But yeah, Kyrie and Brooklyn, that could be a thing. Like you said, Kyrie he's a Jersey guy.
They talk about him going to the Knicks because the Knicks actually have the money. So one way or another though, he's from this area. He wants to come back to this area is kind of the rumor. So he's got 2 options to go to right there. And then again, it's also going to depend. If the Nets re-sign D'Angelo Russell, you're not going to go get Kyrie. That's, you're going to have 2 point guards that don't play defense at the same time on your team. Your max players, like, that's not a recipe to win a championship. So, you're wasting all the good work you did to kind of get yourself to this point right here anyway, if that's the case.
That's not going to work. One place I do know where Kyrie Irving will not be, he will not be a member of the Boston Celtics. It doesn't look like it's going. That just doesn't that didn't look right at all this year. Let's get ready for the night, Benny, before we hop on up out of here. Orlando and Toronto. Toronto is laying at 10 in this one. 212 is the number. We saw the overs came in last night. I think this can also be an over right here. I think Toronto can lay the 10. I think it's right around that number. But I think the over at 212, I think both teams get over 100 points. And I think that's what's going to be critical to this one right here.
Yeah, I like the over in this game more than I like betting on either one of these teams. I do think Toronto. Yeah, I think Toronto wins, but I don't. A 212 total with a 10-point spread, it's not giving you a lot of room right there. So I don't really want. I don't think because I really don't think they're going to blow them out. Like a 212 total with a 10-point spread means you think that Toronto's going to blow out Orlando and beat them like 115-92, and I don't think that's the way it's going to happen.
No, I agree. I think both teams get over 100. What I will say is I agree with you. If I had to choose a side, if I had to bet this game, I would bet over this 212. San Antonio and Denver look like a trap game right here with Denver laying the 7. A lot of the early steam is on the Nuggets right now with 54% of the bets on the Nuggets and 88% of the money on the Nuggets. I think that'll shift throughout the course of the day as the public gets involved in this game. My guess is this number will probably finish somewhere around 6.5. With Denver, 208 is the number on this one. I don't know what to feel about this game right here, Benny. I don't have a lean either way right now. If anything, I would definitely hop on San Antonio at +7.
I was going to say San Antonio at +7 seems like a decent amount of points, but I do think Denver's going to win this game, so I'm not really touching it. And even the total, the 208, like – I expect this to be a slower pace game, probably one of the lower scoring ones as far as, this isn't going to be the 130, 120 kind of games we saw last night.
No,
but I really
Lou Will's not playing.
I honestly don't want to touch anything in this game. I'm kind of staying away from it. Maybe I'll take a look at some of the prop bets in there. I do think Denver's going to play better this game, but, the actual line, I don't really have anything I like about it, so I didn't touch this one either.
And finally, tonight we got Oklahoma City and Portland. 220.5 is the total. Portland is laying the 2 at home, looking to go up 2 games to none. The 220.5 is interesting. I think it gets over the 220.5. But my thing, when I'm betting over 220.5 with these two teams, Benny, I'm factoring in a possible game going to overtime.
I'm not touching the over-under, but I love Portland in this spot. I love Portland -2 at home means that they have Oklahoma City favored as the better team if this was a game on a neutral court. Mm-hmm. And I don't believe that to be the case. I believe that Portland is the better team. To me, this should have been -4 because I believe Portland is better than OKC, so that would have given them like a -1. And then when you add the home court advantage in there, which is another -3, it should have been -4. So I think there's a lot of value in this Portland line. My biggest bet that I made so far today when I was looking at stuff this morning was Portland -2. I think it was like 108 or something like that, -108. I love the Trailblazers in this game tonight. I think the Blazers win. I think they win by about 5 or 6 points. I was not impressed with OKC the other night. Listen, Paul George not being 100% is a huge deal.
It really is.
If he shoots like he shot the other night, this is going to be a sweep. Portland's going to win the series easy.
All right, there you go right there, the opening line, part of the Elite Fantasy Sports Network, EliteFantasy.com, GuruElite.com for your betting purposes, and, of course, Fantasy Guru for your season-long fantasy purposes. Speaking of season-long fantasy, on Thursday morning, the homie Russell Clay going to join the program from the West Coast. We'll talk some NFL draft with him and get some of his opinions and stuff like that. Benny, good stuff. Good talking to you today, my man. This was a good one. Look, we well over an hour today.
Yo, I got to get my big piece of chicken out real fast.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Me too.
All right, so, mine's going to some guy named Francois Pinault, who I didn't know who the hell this guy was until yesterday. But, as everybody knows, Notre Dame Cathedral burned down, and this guy pledged $100 million to help fix it. Now, that's not why he gets the big piece of chicken, though, because I had no idea who this guy was. So I was like, let me look this guy up and see who he is. Yo, that's Selma Hayek's husband. So just for that alone, he gets the big piece of chicken. He's the guy that owns the company that owns, like, Gucci and a whole bunch of other brands, and he's Selma Hayek's husband. So again, you're a billionaire. I already liked you, and then I find out that you're banging Selma Hayek. Like, he's life goals.
I'm impressed. You know what I'm saying? And you see the kind of bag you need to bang Selma Hayek.
More power to him, man.
More power to him. I'm riding with you, brother. I got to give my big. You know what? It slipped my mind yesterday, but I do got to give a big piece of chicken to Jackie Robinson. Obviously, you know what I'm saying. Number 42. Yesterday being Jackie Robinson Day in Major League Baseball. You know what I'm saying? My son, my whole family, my pops from back in the day, everybody grew up, talking about the importance of Jackie Robinson. My sister's an alumni of the Jackie Robinson Foundation. So I've met, his wife and some of that. His wife, who's 94 years old, who looked like she could be in her 70s. It's amazing. So a big piece of chicken to Jackie Robinson Foundation, and all the good work they do. And also, but as far as last night's big piece of chicken, it's got to go to Lou Williams. You know what I'm saying? Lou Williams, the man who sported, I don't know if you noticed, Benny, Lou Williams had 2 girlfriends for about 3 years.
I mean, again, like life goals right there.
No, son, Benny, they legit. You Google Lou Williams 2 girlfriends. Until recently, he legit had, and I'm not like, okay, I had 2 girlfriends too, but they didn't know about it. Lou Williams' 2 girlfriends, they were like, 3 of them went to sleep together, Benny.
Like I said, I mean, I wish I was 6'6" and athletic. It's one of those things in the world that didn't work out for me. I lost the genetic lottery. He won the genetic lottery.
Hey, Benny, I also didn't place too well in the genetic lottery. But listen, shout out to Lou Will getting it done last night, putting 36 on the Dubs, and they putting that series up. So there you go right there. With my main man, Benny Ricciardi, I'm the Corey Parson fantasy exec. The opening line, we are